Go.
Welcome back to my show, Youth and Environment. As we all know, you are a United Nations Climate Change Coordinator and a coordinator of Ibahuta and the brain behind Innovative Volunteer. The first question: will the action we take today be enough to forestall the direct impact of climate change? Is the time too late, or are we doing too little?
We're doing too little, and if we don't increase what we are doing, the young generation like you people will not have a better world to live in. But let's put things in perspective, and it's a great opportunity that you are doing a good job in trying to get insights into an issue that is already living with us today, no longer a distant issue in the name of climate change. And that is quite very appreciative because there are millions of youth and young people across the world who need to understand and know that they can be able to do something that can contribute to the problems that we are facing today as a result of climate change. But more importantly, climate change is already impacting the lives of each and everyone, especially the young people are suffering the impacts. If you take Africa, for example, we have over 65% of young people who makes up the population of the entire continent. That's we're talking almost 720 million young people. And these 720 million young people, 65% of them are unemployed. And therefore, there needs to be opportunities created for them under this changing climate. But if you look at what is being done in terms of actions that can reduce climate change, the actions are not matching up with the reality of the science, which is telling us that we are almost at about 1.1 degrees as we speak today, which means that the world will be warmer, there will be more drought, there will be more floods, and this will reduce agricultural production. This will increase sea level rise that will submerge a lot of people. So there needs to be actions ratchet up, but more importantly, those actions will not only have to come from those who are older, but they will come from each and everyone. And so the young people who constitute the bulk of the population, more so in the African continent, have to be taken on board. So the too little needs to be ramped up to become big, rather than just waiting for other people to do it. Each and everyone needs to be on board, and the young people need to put their hands on it.
Yeah. Will taking action make the lives of us today safer and better? Will it only make the lives of my generation and the future generation after me better if we all take action?
If we all take action, we will start to have a better life today. Because a kid who is dying in Niger, for example, because of lack of nutritious food as a result of drought causing crop failure is not only going to pain the mother in Niger, but it should pain the entire African continent or even the entire world, because each life lost as a result of an environmental disaster or any other disaster is a loss to the entire world. So taking action today will make the world a better place, and the generations to come to be able to inherit it. And those actions need each and every one of us to be able to do so.
Dad, since your job is also around food security, how does climate change affect food supply?
Yeah, the changing climate, what the science is telling us in a very simple way is that if we were to reach 2 degrees, which as we're speaking today, we are at 1.1 degree. That means that we are 0.9 degrees away from 2 degrees. Agricultural production, especially in the African continent, will be reduced by up to 40%. This will be affecting crops that millions of people depend on. That is staples like maize, staples like sorghum, staples that so many people depend on. And as a result of that, there's going to also be sea level rise that is going to disrupt transportation. Routes will be flooded. That means that even when you harvest, you might not be able to have access to markets because you will not even have the interconnection between cities and towns, between towns and cities. And the worst of all is that the disruption of supply chains is not only going to inflict pain on those who are already suffering because they lack food, but it's going to affect the economies, because I was speaking to the 65% of the entire workforce in the African continent is driven through the agrarian sector, that's the agricultural sector. And more importantly, the GDP, so the gross domestic products, the economies of this continent are driven, over 32% of the economies, with what they call the GDP, are actually driven through the agricultural sector. So the supply chains, as you mentioned, will be drastically affected by climate change. A drought reducing crop production will result in food insecurity, with people going to bed hungry, not having more money to put in their pockets because they don't have anything to sell. And this is going to have huge implications, not only on the lives of people, but on the economies of the entire countries.